Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on how to do one and two sample t-tests in Python. So this is part of generally the typical inference suite in a typical probability and statistics course. And these are probably the most basic sort of tests that we can do to try and formalize the hypothesis test that you probably learned in class. So first thing is let's just load a very sample data set. In this case, we're gonna load the current population survey or the CPS, very standard data set. This one was uploaded by Bruce Hansen in his website, so it's publicly available. So to do that, I have it in my path. I'll have the file in the description down below. So what we need to do is set the path again to sort of this file here. Okay, and I can easily get it. Okay, so users, sorry, let me just copy it. Users. This is my path, but of course, your path will vary, okay, as you go along. And the code and everything else will be available in the GitHub. CPS 09.09 mar.xlsx. Okay. So that will be that. This is a Python sort of script, of course. So let's select the kernel, should be this. Okay. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna load the data. So let's do pd.read Excel path because this is an Excel file. And then let's just see the data. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Oh, my bad. Here. Should load it now. Oh, course, I forgot to import everything. Okay, so as usual, you need to be able to import everything first. And let's try this. And then we load this, should work now. Okay, so we see here that we have a couple of variables. We have age, a variable that binary variable, which is 0 if the person is male, 1 if the person is female. Probably same dummy variable for Hispanic, education, earnings, hours worked, okay, weeks in a year, and then a couple of other variables like race, marital status, etc. So you can read up on the code book, this code book, to be able to sort of see what these things are. So say you have this, okay, so this is a code book generally available online, okay? So let's start with our one sample t-test. So starting with the one sample t-test, okay? So suppose in general, we generally, people on average work 8 hours a day, okay? So, okay, so in a working week, they should, in general, okay, work about 40 hours. Okay, 40 hours. Now, since this is a population level data set, it's actually not a bad data set to test that sort of assumption on. So let's make a null hypothesis. Our null hypothesis is that the mean hours worked is 40. Okay. And our alternative hypothesis is that the mean hours worked is not 40. Right? Quite simple hypothesis. So we have these two hypotheses that we want to test. Okay, so we want to be able to test a null hypothesis, okay, that the hour mean hours worked is equal to 40, right? If the mean hours worked is equal to 40, then on average they also work probably more or less 8 hours a day, right? So we can do that. So let's do from scipy.stats, okay, import t-test. Okay, so which means we need to do this. So we're gonna import from scipy a particular package or command or function that is the individual t-test or the one sample t-test. And we're gonna perform the one sample t-test. And what do we get? Okay, this one. So we're gonna do not on age rather. Okay, not on this one. Okay. We're gonna do t-test. So let's sort of formulate it. T underscore stat and p value is gonna be equal to, the result, okay, of this individual one sample t-test. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. And the particular thing we want to test is the hours, right? Do people work, okay, more or less 40 hours a week? That's what we want to test. Okay. Give me a second here. Whoops. This is supposed to be test underscore one sum. My bad here. That should be it, right? And print the results. Okay, we can print this test statistic, and we see here, okay, that we have a very, very high p-value, okay, and a very low, sorry, a very low p-value and a very, very high t-statistic, right? So we can see, okay, here that the t-stat is very high, okay, with a very low p-value. And in this case, we reject the null hypothesis, right? So we have sufficient evidence, okay, to show that the mean number of hours is not equal to 40. And we can sort of get alongside, what is probably a good figure for that. So if we ask, get the mean of hours, okay, so let's see this one. And we'll be able to sort of get it in due time. Okay, so we can get the mean number of hours, and basically by using by using sort of this data set, okay, we can, let's see, generate the mean of the variable hours. So using the AI to do that for us, okay, we can get this, and we can see clearly the mean is around 43. So a little bit higher than our hypothesized 40 hours. So that's the mean number of hours. So I was able to find sufficient evidence that the claim of 40 was wrong. And so not so bad, okay? Quite simple and intuitive to understand, okay? Now let's get into the two sample t-test. Two sample t-test. Okay? The two sample t-test, well, let's try to sort of extend what we have. So let's try, okay? Let's try to look at the average number of hours worked by gender, okay? Gender. And we can do that. Let's see, calculate the average hours worked by gender, okay, and plot it. So let's ask the AI and let's see if the AI will give something for us. Okay, so should be quite simple. Okay, and we see here on average, we find evidence that males on the average work longer hours than females in this particular data set. Okay, now, but of course, the graph tells us one thing, but we'd like to determine whether that difference is statistically significant, right? So again, notice that based on the graph, it appears that males, okay, have on average higher working hours, okay? So what we need to do is we need to test and formalize this hypothesis, and we can do that using a two-sample t-test. So in this case, let mu underscore m be equal to mu underscore f. That is, the mean hours of males, okay, are equal to the mean hours of females, right? Under my null hypothesis. And under my alternative hypothesis, I'm going to say that they're not equal, right? So that these two things are not equal, right? And if I try to test that, okay, or what I need to do now is basically run the two sample t-test, right? The two sample t-tests, okay? And what we can see here is, let's try to generate here, use a two sample t-test to test the difference in means of the of the working hours of male and females. Okay, so let's see this. Yeah, that's right. So we have here, okay, we're gonna use this t-test now. Okay, and we find here that the p-value is again very low and the t-statistic is very high, which suggests that there is a significant difference in the working hours between male and female, right? As such, we have some evidence to sort of back up that there is a statistically significant difference between the working hours of men and women, as seen in the graph as well. So that's a simple way to run the two and the one sample t-test inside of Python. Quite simple, easy to understand, not much going on, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.